you've seen me strip and clean all the parts for this Kranzle 105. Now it's literally just got to put it back together. Got all the parts in bags all organised, the motor's in front of me. First things first is put the motor together. This is where you feel a little bit like a bomb disposal expert, because you've got to get it in there without scratching any of the windings. Don't want to wreck anything. So you get the motor pretty good. This is completely spotless, so I'm good at that. What I've actually done as well is I've got all nice new stainless steel bolts, just because I can. It'll look better. I've got it in there. This is pretty much the same process for literally all the Kranzle machines. They're just obviously a little bit bigger. Some are slightly different bolts, bigger bolts or so forth. They're all similar in the way they fit together and come apart. I've no idea really how long this video is going to be. There'll probably be a few cuts in there when I go for a break or my battery dies in the camera. Costume changes, different t-shirt or something. Don't know how many days it's going to do because I'm away this weekend. If I don't get it finished tonight, it's going to be next week before I even start. You hear a lot of cars going past this one. We need to put the fan on. I'll find the bolts for the fan. Fan's on, you don't want it catching, so I slid it on a little bit too far. That's okay. Get the right screwdriver. I'd like to see how long this takes me to completely rebuild. But if it gets really boring, I'll have to do speed up or time lapse of some sorts. Or if I miss something, I don't think I'll be redoing it once it's been put back together. So you might never even see this if it's naff. The first problem I get, being able to get this little nut on. Okay. got an Indian restaurant top of the street. Of course, they're doing the coronavirus sort of deals on the eating in, so it's packed in there at the moment. So you'll hear them coming out, drunk probably. So far so good. Motor looks well. Need to put this electric box on, and then we can put the cabinet on. One thing you don't want to do is drop the screws into the windings. She'll have to strip it all the way back down again. Shove them wires through there. Them wires through there. Once that's done, sit the let's get the earth wire through there. On front. Sort these out. I'm just taking my time at the minute because I don't want to drop this Allen key or little bolt into the motor, so I have to strip it down again. Get the earth wire on. Does not want to play ball with it. Not tightening too well. I need to really get a washer of some sorts, I think. That's got it. Seems like the bolt was a little bit too long. So I'll change that. Although what I did, actually got a shorter bolt, so I should have used it. While it's nice and new and stainless steel, might as well. What the I've got a clue what happened there. I don't know whether it's just getting too hot, because it is warm today. I hope it didn't take me as long to put this bloody earth on. The earth needs to be nice and tight, so that's got it. Beautiful. There's a little connector block. There's these two wires in here from the motor. Now them two wires connect to the capacitor. But I tested the capacitor and it was 36.9, which is a little bit too low. I think the tolerance is about 38. So I will change it because I'm going to run it for a brand new one, which I will just test. So if you've got a meter that has this little yellow symbol there, that's capacitor. Test the capacitors. Which now for some reason don't want to. There we go. .7. If you get meters to do this, service a machine, 40.7. It'll always have my initials on it and then today's date. Don't think anybody else does that. But you know I serviced it then. Now it's just wiring it in. I always, regardless of what sort of electrics I do, take pictures of where the wires go. So I've always got a diagram. Because personally I'd have put the brown one as a live to the red one on the connector block. But when I looked at the way it came off, it wasn't like that at all. The blue one was with the live and then the white wire. And to be fair, it doesn't really matter which way the cap goes in, because it's just one way or another. There's I don't know any capacitors that are directional as such. Make sure they're nice and tight. I've got two wires. Red ones at the bottom there. These just slide on internal. Like so. Or if you don't trap a wire like I did. What we're going to do is get the bolt through the rubber seal first so it gets into the motor. And if it doesn't feel like it's fitting right, then don't do it. That is the motor complete. Got a major milestone done. The idea really is if we can get the cabinet on, it's going to be really simple from there. It's only about building the pump up, and that's the easy bit. feel like it's trapped on something. I was trying to get hold of some screws which I might still replace or paint up because they look a little bit scruffy now. Put the cabinet on. And we shall see. Don't think that's the original screw, but that's what was in it. So for now, this should be good enough. So I forget what screws go where. You don't often see this old working. Run screw. Going together nice and easy. Try not to scratch the motor too much and putting it back together. I'm not the best sprayer, but it looks pretty good. This little screw got me. Just a really small self-tapping screw. There's one there. There's one in the front. They're very hard to see. one little screw that's messing me about. Battery track. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I'll be able to run that. Let's see if it blows up. If you ever not sure about it and you've got this, you want to be quick to turn it off if it comes to it. So motor works, that's a good sign. When you've done, unplug it. You've done, unplug it. Right, okay, so now we need the wobble disc. Everything has been cleaned, so there should be no issues. Can't forget the little keyway. It still feels oily, which is good. You get the keyway at the top of the motor, because otherwise it'll just fall out if you go on the bottom. And the wobble disc, sometimes these need to be pressed on, but this literally just slid on and off when I was taking it off. So it's easy to fit. Although they've been cleaned, I always like to give them a bit of a wipe beforehand. And we'll turn the wobble disc upside down there so it's angled like that, so it doesn't fall out, because if it's angled there it'll just drop. There's only one way these go, the recess against the ball bearings. Like that. That's the motor done. It's not the camera, it's clever. Then we have the piston housing. Piston housing. Need to put the O-ring on. Make sure it's all in that recess. Once it is, use a little bit of grease, don't use too much grease. This will help, it'll slide in there easy. Slide in there when you reassemble them. We need some pistons and springs. What you want to do is clean the spring first, put it on, little washer and piston. And for the age of it, there's not a lot of wear on it. They're in quite good condition really. I mean, you can see where it has worn, but it's in really good nick. All the pistons, you might be able to see a little bit more wear there. See if it'll focus, might not do. But as we said, there's not a lot of wear in it considering the age of it. can put a little bit of grease on the back end of the pistons, but don't over grease them. It'll help that with any wear when it starts. I need some bolts. Again, I've changed bolts. They're stainless bolts. The other ones looked a little bit scruffy. It's so important this to make sure that O-ring does not get trapped. So you need to keep it straight as you can as you're going on. Like probably a turn on each one. And this is where the lubrication comes in, because now the O-ring will slide into it without getting trapped. If you trap it, you'll have to take all this off again because it'll be leaking. And the more it goes on, the less turns you make it. Until it's all the way up. Never heard such a loud scooter. So now these are all tight that way. Just need to give them a little extra nudge just so they don't come undone. I don't want to come undone. Here he comes again, that scooter. Brass spacers. These spacers are just to hold the oil seal in place. I did notice there is a break in this one where it must have been frozen at some point. And it's actually broken this little piece of brass here. I don't know whether I'll get it. I'm not going to replace. If I saw that on a customer's machine, I'd want to replace it, and I'd probably tell them to replace it. But this machine is not going to get a lot of hammer. It's going to be used just so I can test it, and then we're just going to put it on sort of display more than anything. I'm not going to do anything with it. I do have a new oil sight glass because I painted over that one, so you'll not be able to see it. I'll loosen that off. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Although I can't find me oil sight glass now. There it is. I thought I had a new one. looking good. Some seals in now. So this seal kit has a really small seal. Into the brass collar, which I've polished up. Look good. There's no holes in these ones, so they literally just slide on. Like so. The water seals. And the washers. And they have to be flush. If this has a lot of play in there, then we need to replace them. Or replace the pump really, because the pump will be worn. Especially if you've got a new washer kit. And you found it was loose. These, however, are not. It's perfect, this. The old ones, the O-ring just fitted really into this housing like that, and to keep them there, just a little bit of Vaseline or some grease just to hold it in place, but you don't want to over grease them. Then fit that pump on there, shiny brass, and again all nice stainless steel screws. And again, even it up when you're tightening it. Make sure it doesn't go uncocked. Another bit done. I will put the valves in. I did notice something with the valves as well, which again I'm not gonna replace because it's not really a customer's machine. start. Make sure these are sitting right. There is a valve that, if you saw the story, is a bit dodgy. I'm still going to put it in, but I would get a replacement kit if I was doing this for a customer. I'm going to put them in the bottom anyway, just to, it's a little bit easier to get at. One for the pressure gauge in the top. Might help with the valves in. Got to make sure them O-rings are seated correctly. You will have problems. The Indian across the street there smells so good when I'm outside. That's that one done. There is a seat in there, I'm not going to replace it. But there's a ball and spring which can fall out, and if it falls out onto something, make sure that it's clean, because this is one of the most common faults for low pressure. You don't even realise it's there. I'll do the front. So this is the backstroke body. It's a little bit worn, but it looks not too bad. This goes in the front and it acts like a non-return valve. If you have a problem with this O-ring, the machine, when you let go of the trigger, will cut in and out every few seconds, so it'll be running on bypass and nyeh, nyeh, and so on. You've got to make sure that it is not kinked when you put it in, because it needs to seal properly. That's that done. There is copper washers that go in there for the actual filter screws on. And this actually uses an Allen key to tighten it into the housing. You don't want to over tighten it because it's only on a copper washer. The all important filter. I put a brand new one in because I actually broke it when I got the other one out. Water coupling. There is one thing that I'm looking for. It's chemical. On this version of this machine, it had the detergent suction on the side of the pump. So if I can put that on this side, small conical spring, little cone shaped spring that fits in there. The ball bearing fits on top of that spring. And then the chemical nipple fits on top of that and screws in. Put the unloader in next. Sometimes you can just unscrew them. I replaced all the O-rings. I could do a little bit of grease really, to be fair. You don't want to over grease it, you just got to make sure that the O-rings are lubricated. And we can pull that back in. My SD card full on there. I've been on there almost an hour. Gonna need to be PTFE'd that a little bit, I think. No O-ring on this. And that is pretty much it. I'm just going to clean this down a little bit more and I'll take some pictures of it. But an hour and completely stripped, rebuilt from nothing. The only thing I will do is I'll put some oil in it, because that won't help. You have to be really careful when you fill in this oil. You don't want to spill it down the crack of the housing, because then it'll leak oil forever. nice and slowly until you see it in the little sight glass. You can pour these a little bit quicker than the new 10122s and 10122s because there's no expansion sort of chamber to get oil caught in. There's still about 200 millilitres of oil. I'm just seeing it coming up the glass now, halfway, little by little. Bubble right in the top. Job's good. As soon as I find my oil cap, then we're done. Simple. So I'm going to clean all the greasy fingerprints off it, and we'll get some pictures taken. Job's good.